This episode is brought to you by
Co-creation.
Welcome to Leadership Actually. It's not love, it's leadership. Welcome, Lisa Powney.
Well, I'm laughing, sorry. Welcome, Lee Rogers. How the devil are you?
I'm alright.
Are you alright?
Yeah, I am.
Not pucker?
Well, a little bit pucker, but you know, it's a bit weary, but other than that.
What's going on? What have you been doing?
Well, you know I'm doing my cycling, don't you?
I do.
So it's, 1,000 kids though, doing 1,000 miles is, every time I'm so shattered, I have to remember about those 1,000 kids.
Yeah.
So that's really motivating. But my bum's a bit sore now, and
nice.
my back's a bit achy, but it's going to be nothing like it's going to be on the actual adventure.
When is it? When is the date?
2nd of June to the 15th of June.
Wow.
Cycling Land's End to John O'Groats, 1,046 miles.
Amazing.
And if you want to sponsor me, it's Just Giving, and it's On Your Bike, Lee. Just saying.
On your bike, Lee. Nice title, catchy.
Well, so many people have told me to get on my bike. That was the rationale behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you?
I'm really well, thanks, Lee. We've had a bit of sunshine. Life is good when it's sunny, isn't it? So I really enjoyed that. Although it's always that time, isn't it, where you don't know what to get out of your wardrobe. Like, is it the time you can like pull the summer kit out or not? So I probably pulled a few things out. But you know, it's one of those dilemmas, life dilemmas, because we're just in March. So
You do know I've got like hot sweats now, wondering what you're going to say, because remember when you went to the whole tights debate and I didn't know where to put myself? Like, I feel like it could be one of those moments.
Days, yeah. I got my bikini out. No, it's not one of them moments.
We're not bikini weather now.
It's not bikini weather yet, but you know, I swapped my coat. I got rid of my really big coat, so that's quite a decision that happened to be in there.
And do you do the thing where you free up space in your wardrobe and like swap your clothes out?
Yeah. Well, no, I've got one of them we've got some vacuum bags, and so I'll swap them over. I'll like unleash the vacuum bag and put the winter wardrobe back in there. That's what I do.
Oh, wow, okay.
And this reminds me of my WhatsApp group with my family, which is boring chat. I think that's a bit of boring chat. That would be added on there. When are we going to get the vacuum bags out?
Tell us more about this boring chat.
Well, you know, we're at a certain age, me and my sisters. I've got 2 sisters, love them. And my niece is in there as well, where, you know, we like to talk about mundane things that excite us. So like the new cleaning product that's come out. And I don't mean for your face, I mean for your kitchen sink.
Okay.
Whether that works, that's nice. So that's been on there. I saw a steam cleaner, a steam iron with no wire. I thought that was very exciting. I don't know why, you know, want to run around the house with your steam iron. That was exciting. I was making sausage and mash, and I wanted to know whether I should use chicken gravy or beef. That might be a debate that everyone wants to get involved in, because everyone had a different opinion. What would yours be?
Beef.
Okay, lovely. And the latest was the first time to mow your lawns. You know, the delight of that. But it has a consequence. My 18-year-old niece says, please get me out of this chat. This is the boringest chat I have ever been part of.
She'd just go, bruh, I'm going.
I'm going. Yeah. No exciting chat in this. Why have you joined me up? Because she was a grown-up. When she was 18, she got to be part of the chat. It's like, get me out. So, yeah. So I'm going to put the vacuum bags, clothes, you know, summer thing into the boring chat later, I think.
I was just thinking if there's any leaders out there doing a similar thing. Like, I've always wanted to be a leader. You get there and you go, whoa, this is not for me, thanks.
Absolutely, yeah. You think, woohoo, I can join it.
So enough of all this messy chat and our randomness.
Yes.
Well, let's welcome this week's guest,
Yes.
Spencer Fearn. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invite. Nice to be here.
You're very welcome. Enjoyed the random chat.
I enjoyed the random chats, but don't feel the need to add me to that chat that you mentioned.
You're not wanting,
no, I'm not. I'll leave that one.
Right, okay.
Sift products not part of your... No, okay. Do you want to do the formal introduction,
I will.
Lisa?
We'll ask you more about yourself in a minute, but
Yeah.
we always have a bit of a formal introduction, so
Okay.
if that's all right. So today we're joined by you, Spencer. You're a coach, you're a mentor, you're an author, and someone who spent your career developing people across sport, education and leadership. You've worked in high-performance environments across football, boxing and rugby, building teams and developing talent. But what really stands out is your focus on people and potential. You are the author of Belief, buying the worst football club in Britain. I think we've got one.
We have, yeah.
There we are. A story that brings leadership to life in the real world. You bought and ran a football club for 4 years, experiencing the highs and the lows and everything in between, before ultimately selling it back to the fans for £1 to become a community-led club. We'll find out more about that. At the heart of everything you do is a simple but powerful why, creating brighter futures. Spencer, it's great to have you with us today.
Good to be here. What a lovely intro. Thank you.
Good. Hope we got it right.
Yeah,
Spot
very
on.
good.
Very inspiring to hear and more about you. But as you noticed, we do have a messy class. This is a messy class,
Yeah.
really. So we often start with a messy question. So I've got one for you, if that's all right. Because we talk a lot about coaching and leadership in your space. Where's a moment in your coaching or leadership journey where you look back and think, I didn't quite get that right?
Oh, there are so many. There are
That's
so
very
many.
warming to know.
I would say when I was leading Life Skills, the Life Skills and Education company that I set up in 2002.
Yes.
And the story behind that is that I wanted to help young people who were like me at 16 years of age who weren't very good at school, which I wasn't very good. And I tried to get back in Yorkshire to do it, and nobody backed me. So I went to the bright lights of London, lived on a camp bed for 8 months, slept in the office and built this business up. And very quickly it started to progress because I'm quite obsessive, and if I'm going to do something, I generally put everything into it. And we got to a stage where the business was probably doing about £4.5 million a year turnover, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then the opportunity came to subcontract with lots of football foundations, and pretty much in the space of 12 months we doubled our turnover and started to make a serious amount of money, which was all well and good. But then I thought we really lost the essence of what we're about. It became very much a business that was about profit. And of course, profit is really important. In any business, without it, you're snookered. But it became more driven about money. So what I did after 12 months assessing this, I actually stripped it back to about 4.5 million. It remained that until 2022 when it finished after 20 years. So I think as a leader, I was greedy.
Yeah.
I saw the pound signs. And I lost my way personally in terms of why I set Life Skills up, which was to help people like me at 16 years of age. So that was the first one that I reflected on, and thankfully not made the same mistake. Well, I've made others. I'll share a couple more with you. After my time at East Stirlingshire, which the book's about, I went to Stockport County as a 20% shareholder, the largest individual shareholder. Really nice people, and they presented me with a spreadsheet. This is the financial position, Spence. This is all that's required in terms of your own investment. 3 months later, times that by 3. The biggest lesson was, don't believe everything you read on a spreadsheet.
No.
I said probably the third one, which was probably my biggest clanger. So I started doing music, which I'm sure I'll come on to, doing events, Marbella, Ibiza, Dubai, having a great time. And I wanted to do a club in Sheffield, where I was born, where I'm from. And we set up this nightclub in Sheffield, very current music, and it bombed. I could not have lost any more money if I tried. It got robbed, it got flooded, all sorts happened. But that was a big lesson in the do your research, do your due diligence,
Yes.
and don't let your heart rule you. Use your head as well. So probably 3 very powerful lessons as a leader. I think one thing as a leader is be humble, realise you made mistakes and learn from them.
When in each of those scenarios did you realise it was going in the wrong direction and think, I've got to do something different here?
Yeah, so with Life Skills, probably within 12 months,
Yeah.
because we grew, we'd had about 1,000 students every year, and it doubled, and it became uncontrollable. And some of the people, they were bonus driven, and you think, are they really putting the learner at the centre of what we want to do? Stockport County, wow, yeah. I mean, I lasted 16 months. I did well to last 16 months because not only was I the largest individual shareholder, I was bailing it out every month along with 2 other people who then disappeared. So it was left to me out of 12 shareholders. So after 16 months, I was like, I'm out of here, because I got lots of other businesses. I was spending 3-4 days a week at Stockport County, making unpopular decisions. At the time, the club needed it. It come out of administration. it was on the verge of bankruptcy. Not the Stockport County we see in love now, near the top of League One, probably end up in the Championship. A very, very different football club at the time, and that was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and cost me a lot of money. Which you think about, it's a bit insane, really, isn't it? Spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds to get abused by people every Saturday afternoon at Edgley Park. Not everybody, of course, just a minority which you get. And the nightclub, it's probably a year, 18 months. And I think one thing I've learned is when things aren't working well, don't hang on to it too long. Yeah. That's what my late dad did quite a bit, and got into a bit of bother trying to keep things going. You have to know when to cut things. Yes. And say, right, I'll walk away, take the hit, and then move on.
And how do you come through that curve of going, I'm walking away and I've got to take the hit? What have you done with yourself personally to be able to be resilient enough to move forward? And
I think I've just gone to the next thing. Yeah. So as I mentioned in our communication, I have which is classed as a disability. It's called ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Which is probably the wrong name, because it's not attention deficit, it's attention interest. So what I do, I can bounce between things. Yeah. So if I get failure, I just bounce on to the next thing, and that's fine. And that's how I process it. I just think next thing. Yeah. And I've had quite a lot of failure. But I think that stems from childhood as well. My upbringing was a little volatile, put it that way. Mum and Dad tried the best, got split up, saw a lot of things I shouldn't have seen, but became very, very resilient from a very young age, having to work at 10, 11 years of age, doing milk rounds, paper rounds, one-parent family, feeding a kid, etc. That made me and my sister Sasha incredibly resilient. So we just bounced back, and she's far smarter and far more resilient than I am. She's a few years younger. She's done incredibly well in life. And it's having that early work ethic and accepting you can have failure in life. That is life. Yeah. But give things a go.
Amazing mindset came from, learning from a very early age. So we've had like little snippets of where you've been in your journey in your life. What have we missed? So if we looked back at the journey, how did you get to where you are today?
So terrible at school, absolutely awful at school, but enjoyed the parties. There was the late 80s, and there were lots of parties at school when I was 14, 15. Not a bad little footballer. I was at Sheffield United for 5 years, between the ages of 11 and 16. And I truly believed I'd be a professional footballer. Yeah. I truly, the noise was made, but it was probably the wrong thing. Very impressionable young man, thought I'd cracked it before I had the wrong attitude. And I got released at 16 years of age, which was such a shock. Well, it was to me, probably not to the coaches, because I expected to get a YTS, as it was in those days, now called a scholarship. And for 2 or 3 years after that, I went seriously off the rails. And how I didn't get sent to jail, I do not know. I won't repeat the kind of things I did. Nothing too horrific, but illegal. Yes. And when I was 19 years of age, I was working at the civil service, sadly. I mean, what a boring job that was. I was working at the civil service, and my dear late stepmom, Sue, sadly passed away 14, 15 years ago. She set an audit company up, and she offered me the opportunity to go and learn for her. 10 grand a year, little Peugeot Mardi Gras. Right, Spence, this is your opportunity. And I grabbed it with both hands. So if it wasn't for my stepmom, who knows where I would have been. So I always owe her so much for what I've done in my career. She was the starting point, and she was incredibly tough with me as well. They used to call her the Iron Lady after Margaret Thatcher, which is not ideal coming from South Yorkshire. But she used to instill fear in people. People used to shake around her, that's how, but she was an incredible human being. And I worked for Sue for 6 years. And when I was 25, I set my first company up, an audit company, compliance and education. Set life skills up at 27, East Stirlingshire at 31, and then worked across rugby, music, boxing, did all sorts of stuff. But it all started by my stepmom taking a chance on me, which she didn't need to do. No. I wasn't a qualified auditor. I knew nothing about education, because my own education was really poor. But she took a chance on me. And without her doing that, my life could have been very, very different.
How fantastic, how phenomenal that you've had that start as well, and somebody believed in you.
Yeah. And that's been a bit of a common theme, I think, on this podcast. The number of guests that we spoke to, at least 1 in 2 have always said there's been that one person that's given me that chance, or has, taken a punt as they see it.
Yeah.
What would you say to her now, in terms of like the impact that she's had on you? I know. How would you describe it?
Absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm very lucky. My dad's no longer with us as well. My dad and my stepmom, I spent a bit of time with them, and obviously I grew up with my biological mum as well. They've all had a tremendous impact in one way or another. But for Sue, incredible lady. I mean, she got with my dad. My dad didn't want any more children, so she gave up the opportunity to have her own children. That's how much she loved my dad. Incredible human being. But just to thank you, and she knew that. I mean, she passed away in 2010, 15 or so years ago. But she knew how much I loved her and how much I thanked her for what she did for me. She was incredible. And even when I left her business, because as much as I loved her, I couldn't see myself working for her for the next 30 years. She'd drive me insane. Do you know what I mean? She really, and I set up on my own. She was always incredibly supportive. And she was. But yeah, just thank you. And I think that's helped me in my life and what I do, my purpose, and we spoke about this yesterday, creating brighter futures. I just want to help people. That's what I do. That's why I get my dopamine hit, helping people. Yes, it's nice to have success yourself, but I was speaking to a student, I'm sure we'll come on to you now, to a student who graduated 3 years ago, phoned me last week, Spen, I need some advice. I've got these 2 job opportunities. Oh yeah, first world problems, mate. Yeah, really good. So we spoke. But after that, he pretty much made his mind up what he was going to do. That's what I like. Yeah. But that all stems from how I've been treated as well, and how people have taken a chance on me, when I probably didn't deserve it at 19 years of age because I was a little bugger. It's
amazing how you just lit up when you said that, though. Just about helping someone having a conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then in terms of like developing people in its simplest form, on the and this is a podcast for leaders, what does that actually mean?
To develop people, you have to show that you believe in them. You have to give them belief. Because a lot of people, I say a lot of people, some people will not believe they can achieve what's up there or whatever success is to them. And when I had life skills, so the company ran for 20 years, we trained 22,000 young people working in Peckham, working with gangs, Bethnal Green, the East End, some tough areas. And when we started back in 2002, there was a fellow called Nick who started with me as a placement officer. He worked at ITV, didn't like it, came to work for me. 25 grand a year. Within 10 years, he was running the business on 6 figures. Because I believed in him, and I helped him, and I coached him. I'm a coach by nature, and if you learn how to coach, you can lead. You're helping people all the time. So I think showing that belief in people. I have it in my job when I'm an FA coach educator. I get 35 people come in, petrified, can't coach, on a course. By the end of it, 6 days with me and colleagues, they're flying, because we create that psychological safety where mistakes are okay, and believing in people. But if you people know that they, like my stepmom, believed in me, so that made me believe, do you know what? Maybe I can make something of my life. I think the second point is, do people want to improve? There's no point working with somebody who's got a fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset. So some people are quite happy like that. That's fine. So it's 2 things. Showing belief, and are people open? Are they open to learning? Are they open to being developed? So I think they're the 2 main things.
And you talked about psychological safety, and you said the ability to fail. It is a really big topic out there for leaders. What else do we need to be thinking about when we're trying to create that environment? And when we do, what can happen?
I think psychological safety is massive. So I'll give you an example of what I do when I start coaching a team. So I went at Doncaster Rovers this season. I've not done academy football for 4 or 5 years. I love coaching the 15-16 jobs. That's the age group I love. So becoming young men, and we have a bit of banter and so on. And what I do with them, when I do the FA stuff, it's right, I'll introduce myself. It says, guess what? I made thousands of mistakes. And when I coach you or the coach education of the next few days or this season, I'm going to make even more mistakes. And so are you. And that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. And you can see people on the coach education course just go, that's okay. Because anybody who says they doesn't make mistakes, they're talking nonsense. You see it, particularly in sport, you see it all the time. So creating that psychological safety is really important. Yes, you don't want to keep making the same mistakes. You've got to learn from them, because it gets a stage where, hey, listen, this is, probably not going to cut it in whatever line of work it is. But mistakes are fine, and having the humility and being honest about the mistakes you've made, not trying to hide things. I think that's really, really important. And I think society's changing a bit, because many years ago you made a mistake, you cover it up, and that's probably without getting into our health service here, the NHS, that's one of the big problems there. People don't take responsibility. And I think having emotional intelligence as well. So when I walk in a room, and again, this is a really powerful thing about having ADHD, you can sense people, if you know what kind of day they're having. You're really, really attuned to what's going off around you. So that's been a real benefit for me. So if I'm working with certain people, I can just tell by the body language. And I'll just say, is everything okay? And they'll say, yes or no. Do you want to talk about it? Yes or no. And it's showing a level of care. You have to care for your people. And a lot of companies say they do care, but they don't really. They just have nice words on the wall. That's what they do. And values, it's about showing, and actions are far more important than words. If people know that you care for them, that's a huge, huge thing. When I had life skills, we had up to 150 staff. And I used to have a spreadsheet, places all over the country, Lowestoft, Basel and Leeds, random places, Rotherham. And I used to have a spreadsheet. And what we used to do, we used to look at a bit of a CV, but everyone's interest, the family, where they go on holiday. So if I went down to Lowestoft, a 4-hour trek for me, I know that Rick has probably been in Ibiza this summer DJing. How's it going, Rick? How's Ibiza? Yeah, not just to make conversation, because I was really interested and showing an interest in people, not just how many kids they've got, but having a real interest in them and their development and what they're like outside of work as well. And that's just building connections with people.
Yeah, so important. That relationships that you build, and you know, that curiosity to understand their world outside the world of work can really pay dividends, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely huge. So yeah, a few there.
That's amazing. We talked about in the introduction your book, which we've got on here. Can you tell us a little bit about that story and what you learned from it, and bring us up to speed with it?
Wow. So 31. My son Lennon, named after John Lennon, not Neil Lennon, the Celtic player.
I was wondering.
Just been born, and you'd think, what I do, you know, doting dad, just take it easy for a bit. And I was living between London and Yorkshire, and I'd come across this team every Saturday afternoon with Jeff Stelling, the anchorman, Sky Sports. Yeah. You know, East Stirlingshire, nil, so-and-so 7. And I became really curious about this club. This is before Lennon was born, leading up to it. So I did a bit of research, went on the website. It didn't work. And I just became fascinated with this little football club in Falkirk. I'd never been to Scotland before in my life. Yeah. And shortly after Lennon was born, I thought, you know, I'm going to do it. I got a bit of money. Wasn't a millionaire as people painted out in the press, because they love all that. Sells papers better, I suppose, doesn't it, if there's a story like that. And I went up and I met Les Thompson, the late Les Thompson was the CEO, and the 2 owners, a fellow called Alan Mackin, not the nicest person, and an accountant called Alan McCabe. And long story short, basically took over the club. And the owner, Alan Mackin, was asset stripping. So basically the club was going to go out of existence. It'd been going since 1881. It was very clear he just wanted the property. Didn't care a hoot about the football club. They finished bottom of the Scottish 3rd Division, 5 years on the bounce. Got 8 points one season, 8 points the following season. Absolute laughing stock of British football. So I thought, well, that's where I'm going to go. I want to pick the worst and go from there. And I had 4 unbelievable years. I only missed 1 home game in 4 years.
Wow.
So I lived between Yorkshire and London, so I'd travel up on a Saturday with Lennon. When Lennon was born in his pushchair, we'd go up to Scotland, a bit of a day event, me and my boy. And when I was in London in the week, I'd get the flight up from Stansted to Edinburgh, Glasgow, and I get the overnight sleeper back into Euston. Just unbelievably, manically dedicated to this little football club. And we got in the playoffs twice. Playing the Scottish Cup at Ibrox, just had some brilliant experiences. And I sold the club to the fans for £1, and they became the first fan-owned football club in Scotland when I departed. But the story was, I got divorced from Lennon's mum in between, not surprisingly, actually. She named East Stirling in the divorce papers, so I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. We're friends now, we're all childhood sweethearts, I suppose, from school and so on, but still a good relationship. And you went from there, sold it, had to deal with a few Glaswegian gangsters along the way, and it's interesting. And putting it down on paper, I left in 2010.
Yes.
And during the pandemic, I started writing about it. And then I got distracted, because that's what people like me do. And then we were away last March, April time for 2.5 weeks. I just wrote it.
Wow.
I just became hyper-focused, did it. Yeah. Went to a few publishers, not interested, all right, do it myself then. So it's about 850 copies now. Raised about 1,200 quid for the football club, because any profits go back to the football club. So hopefully it'll hit 1,000 sometime this year, which would be remarkable. I've never wrote a book before. I'm writing another book now, actually, which is an academic book, Business of Women's Football with Routledge. But yes, people tell me it's a good read. It's funny, scary, mad. But it typifies me at 31 years of age, and having a big mouth and getting in trouble with the Scottish FA for calling them things I shouldn't have. But I didn't care then.
But what is the turnaround, Spencer? So, they were bottom, and I guess the only way is up. And then you had tremendous success. What do you think was the key to that? What did you do, or what did the team do, or to turn that around?
Belief, which is the title of the book. So people thought I was absolutely mad. I mean, why on earth would somebody from England who's never been to Scotland before want to buy this football club that could end up losing its registration with the Scottish Football League if they finish bottom again? It was like, why would anybody do it? But this for me was a challenge. And very early having dialogue with the fans. who were quite sceptical of me, unsurprisingly, because they'd had people before who had said they get involved and had all these years of hurt. But the best fans in the world, not many of them, probably 200, but to see your team every week lose 5, 6, 7-0 and still keep going was incredible. So dialogue with them, being open and honest. I was 31. Yeah, I knew a bit about football, but I didn't know how to run a football club, so I was learning on my feet. I was quite naive to it. And then appointing the manager, Jim McAnally. So Chris Brindley speaks about this, as Jim Collins does as well, getting the right people on the bus. And I appointed Jim probably 4 or 5 months after we had the Glasgow Rangers game, and he transformed the football club. He used to play for Brian Clough back in the day at Forest. I mean, his Cloughy stories are incredible. But getting Jim, getting Davy Nichols with him, and getting the right people around me, that was key, because I didn't have a clue. Yes, I knew a bit about football, but actually running a football club, how to, with the fans. When I got voted in at the AGM, it shows how clueless I was. I had to do a big speech to get people to vote me in for the sale. I needed 75%. I didn't even prepare anything. I got up there, mumbled with my words a bit, and oh, frack, I've blown it. And I got 82%, thankfully. But getting the right people around you and having the humility to know that you don't know everything, you're not an expert in everything, and that's the way I've run businesses, is getting people basically better than me at certain things. So that was a changing point. So the right people on the bus and being really open with the fans. And when I took over, I gave the fans a seat on the board straight away. Yeah. And that wasn't a token gesture, that was because they were very much part of what I was trying to build.
I love that. Really good lessons. I'm sure there was loads more than that, but I think, you know, I'm hearing, going back and really connecting with the fans at the beginning and facing into some of that cynicism as well, and you know, but really understanding what's it like from their point of view and what do they need, and then getting the right people is really important. But I think a really important one as well is that humility, like to know that you don't know all the answers, and that's okay, isn't it? As a leader, we're not meant to know all the answers, but we can make sure that we have the right people around us to support us. So
absolutely
brilliant. I can't wait to meet.
And as a huge football fan, you know, I play Football Manager still, like 25 years on, right? And I'm going, I could do that. No problem at all. I know my people and my formation. What's the influence of Football Manager, I guess, on your like makeup of it? And I guess what's the difference between the fantasy versus the reality of it as well?
So Football Manager, if I wasn't playing football or playing cricket, I was playing Football Manager as a kid, or Championship Manager, before it was proper. So I'm just obsessed with football. Yeah, and of course you play these games, don't you? When you're growing up, think, I could do this. But it's very different when you've got fans swearing at you at 4:45 on a Saturday afternoon. That you don't get that on Football Manager generally.
No, you don't actually.
And you don't get the pressure. I mean, when I was at Stockport, 3,500, 4,000 fans, the results weren't good. It was teaching on the brink. Every month we get to payday, 15 grand short. What we're going to do? 20 grand short. It was like this, the stress, because you've got players' wages, you've got staff's wages. I had to shut the School of Excellence at Stockport County because it was losing £250,000 a year. We just couldn't sustain it. So what had happened, it dropped from the Football League and Football League money into the National League without this, and still tried to operate as a Football League club. So I had to make loads of people redundant from something I believe in, young people. That's what my career's been, helping young people, and I was taking that away from 150 young people. That was hard. So that's the reality. The fantasy, you do it on a keyboard and you move on to your next club or whatever. But I actually avoid that game now, because I get quite addicted to things. So when Lennon was born, round about that time, I used to be on a CD. Do you remember? It was on the old CD.
Yeah.
I actually put it in the bin, so I couldn't go on it anymore. Because I was like, my son had been born. I was like, I've got to go on Football Manager. So I got rid of it. I've not been on it since.
Oh, we are.
I still do it. So and I was 8 now, so I think I'm doing all right. I play it probably slightly less, but hey,
it's addictive.
But what I've been, I mean, you mentioned there's something like Kangs in Glasgow. The financials, the pressures, the bits that people don't see and appreciate. What have been the messy moments out of it?
Yeah, I think Stockport County more messy moments because it's a big club and a lot more fans. And yeah, I made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but had good intentions. And it wasn't until many years after that people actually realised the job I did there and saved it from going to bankruptcy. Because it done admin, it just come out of admin. All good intentions, letting fans own football clubs, generally don't have the skill set, exceptions to the rule, of course. And then it was just careering towards another administration. It was nearly £1 million a year. So my job was to fix that. But we hadn't got this £1 million coming in. So a lot of it was my funding and a couple of other guys as well, until they got fed up of it. So that was really messy. That was hard. The chief executive at the time, Ryan, probably didn't do himself any favours with his comments in the press. Well-meaning, but probably upset a few people. He got attacked in the director's box. So there's a great photo of me at the Stockport Express where I'm like this with some fans who were trying to attack him, sticking up for me mate. And my wife said to me, I think it's time he moved on from here. Because I was putting my heart and soul into it. But again, people have been in touch later thanking me for what I did, because they realise now just how hard that must have been to save it. The East Stirling one, I mean, people have to buy the book. The gangster story is, that's a one-off. Something like being in a Guy Ritchie film, that one. And long and short of it, somebody wanted to get some money out of me. They were very tough people, not the kind of people you invite round for dinner. The threats, the intimidation got more and more. So I knew somebody who was a bit tougher. The people who were a bit tougher told the ones who were tough to leave me alone. That's the very short story.
I love that version.
And where's the full version? Where can people get
They
the
can
book?
see it in the book. They can see it in
Where
the book.
can they buy the book though?
So get off Amazon.
Right.
Yep, so it's £4.24, which is Amazon Kindle. It's £4.24 because that's the cost of a pint, an average cost of a pint in England. That's why it's that price.
Nice.
And it's £9.90 paperback, or whatever you call it. So, yeah.
Great.
So that was scary. That was a scary time because I'm not from that world.
Yeah.
But when you're around people from that, it's like an honour amongst thieves. They don't like normal people like us being threatened by some of their associates. So that was very interesting. Very interesting.
And what are you most proud of, like for yourself, and what you achieved in those both in two periods?
With East Stirlingshire more so than Stockport County, because I had 4 years there, and just seeing the joy on the fans' faces. I went up it was about September, October time. I had a reunion 15 years after I left the football club. Carl Thwyson, the centre-back, lives in Norway. He flew in for it. There were about 20 odd of us. Jim McAnally was the manager. And the Sharks always follow the team still. We played Linlithgow Rose. It was a Friday night. And just going back up to Scotland and doing that journey again and seeing like Robert Jack, who was the physio, is now the president. He's walking on 2 sticks and, he doesn't get around, but his mind is as sharp as ever, hilarious. And just to be around them and seeing how much it meant. And we had a fan called Mad Bill Duncan. And Bill used to turn up at the games with a carrier bag full of anything he could get from the off-licence. Absolutely a pain in the backside sometimes he was, but he was just a legend among Scottish football. And he sadly passed away a few years ago. And Sophie, one of his daughters, got in touch with me as the book was released, and she bought it because her dad's in there. And she said, do you know what, Spen? We didn't get promoted, but you gave us some of the best times that we ever had, because we had such a fantastic football team, Gunner Rangers and giant killings in the Scottish Cup. And to see the joy that me and the team brought to those people, that's what I'm most proud of, because that'll live with me forever. And going there with my late dad when we played Livingston in the Scottish Cup, so we were a 3rd division team, Livingston 1st division, knocked them out of the Scottish Cup. Scottish press were all over it, and it was brilliant. And fans are doing the can at the front of the stand, and my dad's like, "What is this place?" He just loved it, absolutely loved it. And having those, it's the experiences that football gives you, which I'm sure you get in other sports as well. And I've had them in boxing and so on, but nothing quite like East Stirlingshire, because nobody gave us a chance. People thought it was absolute madness, and it was. It was a good type of madness, and the impact still, 15 years on, is felt by some of the people, which is a lovely thing.
Ultimate turnaround story, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can feel the pride. It's amazing. And now, what about today? I know you mentioned it right early on. What are you up to today? What are you doing, and what brings you pride now?
So my children, so I have 4 kids. So Lennon, who's 20, Scarlett 15, Cheska's 13, and the little one Lucy is 11. All very sporty. So my weekends are netball, field hockey. I love ice hockey, football. It's just filled with sport all the time. And I think the pride that I have, and of course my lovely wife Emma, who tolerates my madness most of the time, and just seeing them grow up and be good people, I think that gives me a lot of pride. Work-wise, I work for University Academy 92, so I'm the course leader there. So my job is to write the degrees for sports management, business of football, to teach it sometimes, and basically look after about 130 students who all want to work in sport, which is fantastic for me. It's a job I love, and it gives me a lot of joy. I happen to be at Manchester United now, delivering from there, so I'm not a Man United fan. I do like Man United, so it's nice to be there. So I do that. I work for the FA as a coach educator, so educating coaches, UEFA C, UEFA B licence. I've been doing that for 8 years, so I do that, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 weekends every year. And then Doncaster Rovers under 15s and under 16s, so coaching the boys there Tuesday, Thursday night, Saturday, Sunday, which I love doing, absolutely love that, and seeing them develop. And out of our under 15s, we've had 7 have played for the under 18s this year, which is incredible. So a really good group of boys. And I'm also vice chair of Yorkshire North East Hockey, which is one of the 7 England hockey hubs, because my eldest is well into hockey, so I ended up getting involved in it, like you do. And sit on the board there as well and provide challenge, because they're all from hockey, I'm from a different sport. Had a great conversation with the chair on the way here actually about how we approach certain things. So yeah, I'm generally a pain in the arse to people, because very much on the spirit of fairness and challenging things, politely of course,
Yes.
but for the betterment of the sport. So yeah, I do
Just
that.
a few things.
Just a few things, yeah. So I've only got 3 jobs now. It used to be 6 or 7.
I'm going to pick up on something actually as a question. You like one of your favourite things that you talked about now is the coaching the boys,
Yeah.
15, 16, and that is quite an incredible age nowadays. Talking about masculinity and what does it mean to be a boy, and in that space. What are you experiencing, and how is sport and what you do helping in that space? Do you think?
I think with the boys, I mean, any sport which is a team sport is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Whether you're a boy, girl, whatever age, the skills that you get from it, communication. Well, the things that is the biggest problem in most relationships, most businesses, on most pitches or tracks, is the lack of communication, getting people to communicate with each other. Particularly we're in an age now where everything seems to be on text. My daughter's probably a floor up at home and she'll text me instead of coming down to speak to me. That's how the world is. I think with this group in particular, the 15, 16-year-olds, I like this group because they are transitioning now. They're coming into not quite adulthood, but getting there.
Yeah.
And just teaching them lessons about humility, hard work and respect, their 3 core values. When I coached Sheffield Wednesday's 15s and 16s, I left there 5 years ago. 9 of those 16 are playing professional football now, which is an incredible return. Some are at Brentford, one's playing at Dundee, the rest are playing for Sheffield Wednesday. But in that group, along with my co-coach Kev, we didn't just teach them football, we taught them how to be good people. And don't go over Twitter as it was then, giving it the big one when you've scored a few goals. Have some respect for people, work your socks off, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, but own up to your mistakes. And I think at 15, 16 years of age, boys are very impressionable, generally by the peers, not by me, a 51-year-old coach, or the parents, but we can help them get those core values in there as human beings, and I think it's a great age, and hopefully they take that into adulthood. There's a lad that I coached at Sheffield Wednesday called Bailey Cadamarcha. He's just moved to Wrexham for £1.5 million. And he's playing for Jamaica. He's 21 now, Cads. And then for a couple of years, if I send him a message, within 10, 15 minutes, he's messaging me back. He doesn't need to do that.
No.
He's a professional footballer, earning a lot of money. He's an international. Could be going to the World Cup if Jamaica qualify. But he's a good guy. And that's not just what we taught him. He's got good parents as well. But I think just teaching people those values are really important, because a lot of them won't be professional footballers,
No.
but it'll help them in the other sectors that they work in.
I think that is just phenomenal, Spencer. A really important part of what we need in the world today. And like core values really, and and understanding how to be a good person. It's not necessarily how to be a good man. It's about being a good person, and what does that mean in the world. So love that.
Absolutely. And I say that to my children. There's 2 things in life, and they're far more academic than I ever was, when I did loads of masters after. And I say, just 2 things: work hard and be nice. And if you do that, you're halfway there. And nobody really cares what GCSEs you've got. If I'm not allowed to say that, because I crap GCSEs, so I can say it. I mean, my girls laugh at me how terrible I was at school. Say, hey, listen, I've got 4 masters, pack it in. But I just say that to them: be kind.
Yeah.
Just look after people. 'Cause you never know what type of day somebody's having. And then when you come back to leadership as well, if you've got somebody that's not performing, there's generally a reason for that. And you say, oh, you have to leave things out of work, your personal life. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes just thinking, people may say things that upset you, or they're not performing, or whatever it may be. There's generally a reason for it. And by having that dialogue and that conversation, maybe you can help them. Or if not, just be someone to listen to them.
Yeah, I love that. Be kind is really important.
I said those exact words to Ella, who's 8, on Saturday morning. It was that, and application. Doesn't matter what you're doing, go and give it a go. Do the best that you can do for what you can give right there, right then. Work hard at it, and be kind to those around you.
Yeah.
And beyond that, you've done your best.
Yeah. And as a parent, what more do you want? You just want your kids to be good people.
Absolutely.
I'm curious around in the coaching space, you've talked about boxing, you've talked about football, hockey, like loads of stuff. How does, from a coaching perspective, how does it translate across those different disciplines, if you like? Is there any difference, or is there any nuances with that stuff?
So boxing I never coached, more football that I've coached. But say, could I coach boxing? Probably not. I was a very, very poor white collar fighter. In fact, my first and only white collar fight, I got my ribs broken within the first few minutes. So Emma, my wife, was not happy. We were going to Dubai a few days later, so I was in agony. But yeah, that was my boxing career over. But in terms of coaching, and I have this discussion a lot, so I was very lucky that I went to the Johan Cruyff Institute in Amsterdam, and I learned how to become a proper coach. Not a ranter and a raver on the touchline, how to coach. And I was taught there by martial arts Hall of Famers, field hockey coaches, handball coaches, nobody from football. Even though it was Cruyff, nobody from football. And what I learned there is that coaching, a lot of it, look at business coaching. You don't tell people what to do, you ask them questions. And you provoke their thinking to help them find the solutions to whatever problem it may be. That's coaching. So you can do that in pretty much any sport. And I say this when I do the FA stuff, it's not for you to know why something's gone wrong on the pitch. Ask questions. Because you don't know what the player's seen, you don't know what they've decided. So without asking questions, how could you possibly know and give advice? So coaching is very much asking questions. So that can translate, if you coach, across any sport. Could I do it with boxing? You need some knowledge. I was more promotion and management with boxing. But could I coach field hockey? Yeah. Could I coach stick detail? No. But could I help improve them as players? Absolutely. Same with most sports as well. So it's allowing the athlete, the player, to find the solution, not for you to try and create robots, which a lot of coaches do. Blah, 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 do this, do that. No. That's not coaching.
No.
So it can translate. Yeah.
I think that is absolutely key to coach is questions, isn't it? Having the really good questions to be able to do that. And is that the same in business, do you think? So does that translate exactly over to business? Because we often look to sport in our business world to go, what inspiration can we get?
Yeah, I think, both will cross. There's a lot to learn from both. Absolutely in business. Absolutely. Life skills went for 20 years because it wasn't me telling people what to do. Whereas it might have lasted 2 years. It was getting people around, asking them their thoughts. So what we used to do every year is a strategic planning exercise, simple SWOT. Everybody in the business, from the cleaner to the MD to whoever, had an input. And they used to come up with ideas of how we could improve. So the ideas which we implemented, they'd know about them. If we couldn't implement something, we'd do an action plan with a reasoning why. So that didn't stop people coming forward with ideas. And that's how we built the business. And that's why it was such a success. Because it was asking people and empower them to get involved in the running of it. And creating brighter futures was our strapline on the logo. So everybody knew when they went into the training centre, wherever that may be in the country, they were there for a cause to help create brighter futures for these 16, 17, 18-year-olds. So having a cause, having a clear strategy, and being open and empowering people on the journey, I think that's a key in business. And sadly, not many organisations do it very well.
No, definitely not. No, they find it really hard to get into a coaching culture in that space. Is that any of your work? Do you go into organisations to help them in that space?
Not organisations as such. It's something I've tinkered with a bit, but then I think, where would I find time to do that? I do some one-to-one, I'd probably find time. I do some one-to-one stuff with people and so on. I know one of my mentors and somebody, Lee knows, Chris Brindley, has been incredible. So I've learned off one of the best. I've been around coaches. And I think, Chris always says this as well, is that one thing he suggests to people is that they learn how to coach. Because when you can coach, whether it's under 11s football or whatever it may be, you learn how to coach people and develop people. And it's such a skill set.
Absolutely.
So I think that's valuably important.
And going back to you write sports science courses, and right now, and I guess you're then setting up for the future of sport. We often look at leadership trends or, things. So is there anything changing in that space? What are the things that we need to be thinking about as capability and skills and behaviours to keep us, performing in the world of sport or business? What do you think they are?
Without throwing loads of academic theories in here, which I'll avoid doing, but maybe 20, 30 years ago, it was very transactional leadership. Yeah. So I will pay you X for you to deliver this. Now we're seeing it's more servant leadership, where leaders are there to serve their people, which for me is how it should be. That's my job. So I have a team of 6 who work in my team. I'm there to serve them. I'm there to make sure they're okay. So people who say within an education institution, oh, your students are the most important people. Nonsense. The most important people are my team. Because if they're not all right, the students aren't going to be all right. And that's how I've always viewed it. So I think very much servant leadership. Yes. Emotional intelligence is incredibly important, that people actually have it, that we have a bit of empathy for people, that we look beyond a work role and what external factors could be affecting them. So there's all these different things that we're starting to consider, which maybe 20, 30 years ago we didn't. So I think it is evolving, it's getting better in some places. We still have dinosaurs, sadly, who are in leadership positions, who wouldn't trust to run a raffle, but there you go. They'll be extinct soon anyway, and the new leader. But this is what we teach the students. Yes. We have a module, it's called Leadership in Sport. It's my favourite module, I love it. It's so good. We have people like Carlo Ancelotti and Mikel Arteta, two different types of leaders, both very effective. Ancelotti, very quiet leadership. Arteta looks like he's having heart failure on the touchline every Saturday. Sorry for any Arsenal fans, but both very effective. But then we look at the different leadership styles and how people speak about them. They're both players from both teams that they've managed to speak very fondly of them, but they have different ways. So different leadership styles, or different for different circumstances as well. But it is changing, I think. And I'm sure you're familiar with the work of Simon Sinek. I could watch Simon Sinek all day. I think it's incredible. That's how leadership should happen. Listening to guys like that, I think we're a lot more educated now because we have the internet, we've got a lot more access than maybe we did 20, 30 years ago.
I think it's going in the right direction. And Spencer, I could listen to you all day. You're absolutely inspiring. The things that you've been involved in, but more importantly, the lessons that you've learned and you bring into the fore has been absolutely phenomenal. I have loved hearing all those.
Thank you.
I have definitely. It's a courage for me that you speak of, and you've sort of said, I move on to the next thing, I try something and I fail, and people really struggle with that. Yeah. Because it's a plan and you've got to hit this. Like, failure is such a powerful tool if you can use it, but it's also disarming of people if they don't.
Yeah.
I recognise probably in my own coaching practice as well. One thing that I'm curious around, final thing for me, is what's the most powerful coaching question you've ever been asked?
Are you okay? How's things? Are you okay? Well, yeah. So that start of everyone. Are you okay? How's things?
Love that.
And then nothing too prescriptive. And they just go from there.
Yeah, human connection. Amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So who should we have in the hot seat where you are now?
Oh, I've got a big list for you. Big list.
We've already had Chris Brindley and John Dutton. I know who you've got.
Oh, that's two off my list straight away. It's good job I did a big list. I say Chris and John. Samantha McKenzie, Altrincham CEO. She's moving on at the end of the season. Absolutely incredible human being. Brilliant. She'd be really good. Box office, Sam is. James Garrison, one of my oldest friends. So we grew up together from the age of 7, did a milk round together. Incredible story about how I overcame difficulties as a child because of the colour of his skin, and he inspires me. What he went through in 1980s Britain, it was very, very sad, but how he just kicked. I think the company looks after the turnover 60 million quid a year now. So yeah, he's incredible. Yvonne Harrison, it'd be really, which I'm sure you're aware of Yvonne, women in football would be really good. And then Akin Thomas. So Akin and I did something similar, not as grand as this. We did it on Zoom a few months ago. So Akin advises lots of leaders, the sports councils around diversity. When you speak about people you could listen to all day, Chris Brindley is one, Akin Thomas is the other. I could just sit here and listen to him. He is that good, and I'm more than happy to connect. So there's a few. But Gazzo, as I call him, James Garrison, would be very good. He's got a great story of adversity and what he's overcome and how he's bounced back. And he's an incredible success. And I was on out with him a few weeks ago from dinner. So he's my oldest friend. We've known each other 44 years. Top guy.
Incredibly generous as well with your recommendations.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I knew he'd get those. And then I checked. I thought, Chris has been on already. I wasn't sure about John. But yeah, Chris and John are just different level, completely different level.
Oh, amazing! Thank you so much for your
More
time.
than welcome.
I really, really enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you. Thanks for watching and listening. As ever, leave your comments below, and thank you for watching Leadership Actually. We'll see you next time.